Good day traders, welcome back to what's going to be a jam-packed market fix with lots of high probability setups. My name is John Jacobs for RMDTRADER, and in this week's video we are looking at opportunities from a whopping 12 instruments. This includes a look at a breakout in gold and also a possible near-term top in Bitcoin. This week we will start by looking at gold, and immediately what we can see is a very strong breakout candle on Friday that has broken above diagonal resistance and also above the daily 200 and 100 SMAs. This is very bullish for precious metals and especially for gold. And we can see that for this move, if it were to continue, we should be heading towards 1,850. We will find some some resistance in this zone, highlighted between about 1,845 to about 1,860. There is some interim resistance from these previous highs at about 1,850, also close to our weekly R1 pivot. Also, it's possible that we could see a slight pullback and retest of that breakout. And we can see we have our weekly pivot at 1,800. So that is a level that we can keep an eye out for, as price could come back to retest that breakout and then continue onwards. In the event of price failing in this breakout retracing, there is additional support from our long-term diagonal, and that is at this diagonal and horizontal level at 1,782 to about 1,780. Continuing on now to our cryptocurrencies, and we'll just quickly look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been struggling to get above this 50,000 level. This has also been quite an important and significant level of resistance due to the fact that previously it has been a very important level of support. As we can see, we had it head and shoulders. So that level is now being tested, and in the event where this is being rejected, and if price were to break back below that very important 46,000 level, that will mean price would be rejecting our yearly R2 pivot and daily 200 SMA levels, and that will likely see price move back into this area of support in the vicinity of 39,425, where it will meet up likely with that 100 daily SMA, and just drawing an anchored volume weight average price from the highs and also that recent low on 22nd of June, we can see that zone also come out to that area over here. Moving on now to our Forex pairs, we have quite a few that we'd like to cover. So starting with the EURCHF. The EURCHF actually has a very interesting, very large head and shoulders pattern that has been forming over the last couple of, years. So let's just quickly have a look at that weekly. So that is very interesting indeed. So just heading back to our daily time frame, we can see using our trend evaluation method, we've identified a new bearish trend. And currently we have tested and also rejected that 20 volume weighted moving average right at the new weekly R1 pivot. So that is possible that we could see price continue to make a new low, and that would mean that we would need price to get back below that weekly S1 pivot at 1.069. So this is the move we are expecting for this week, another move lower with resistance, immediate resistance setting from our provided by our weekly pivot at 1.074. Looking at the US dollar CHF, we see a little bit of a different picture here. Actually, we see where price is actually trying to break higher using trend evaluation, although it has also rejected this level at 0.9178. And support at this stage will probably be provided somewhere between this daily 100 and daily 200 SMAs at 0.9077. Although at this stage, any move back above this weekly pivot at 0.914 will probably be bullish, and we'll be looking for a move higher. Looking at the USDCAD, the USDCAD has also broken into a new possible bullish trend using our trend evaluation method. We did expect a pullback back towards support and back to retest that initial breakout. This level that we expect to be retested is somewhere in the vicinity of our daily 200 SMA and also that 20 volume weighted moving average at 1.256. And from there, any bullish price action will be we will be looking for a new high at some point at least, but for this week, probably just a move back to that weekly pivot at 1.2671. Moving on to the New Zealand dollar USD. The New Zealand dollar USD has also turned into what appears to be a new bearish trend. Currently, we are retesting the breakout from that diagonal level of previous support. So at this stage, we are expecting a possible rejection from this area, and any move below 0.697 will likely give us another move to the downside and possibly making a new low, probably in the vicinity of 0.679. Although it is possible that price continue to move upwards, and we have some very strong resistance in that case from our daily 100 SMA coinciding with our weekly R1 pivot at 0.708. Moving on now to the Australian dollar USD, also still in this bearish trend, and price approaching what appears to be also a retest of that structure break and a breakout from that 0.732 level. Any rejection from this area will also likely see price move lower, looking for that new low. For this week, at least, a move back to that weekly pivot at 0.724 will be very plausible, and a break below that will likely then see price heading lower to possibly make that new low. Looking at GBPNZD, also in a bullish trend currently. It is currently pulling back quite deeply, currently just below the daily 100 SMA, although we have seen price previously also pull back as deep, so nothing to be concerned of as yet. We can see we also have some diagonal support just below the current price level at 1.957. So any bullish price action from here will likely see a test of the weekly pivot at 1.972 and perhaps even that yearly pivot at 1.978. Looking at the EURGBP, EURGBP also currently facing some strong overhead resistance from this level at 0.8588, and we are expecting rejection from this area with price moving lower, likely testing these lower pivots, possibly S2 pivot at 0.851 and even possibly the S3 weekly pivot at 0.848 or 849 rather. Looking at the GBP USD, also has changed trend direction and possibly now moved into a bearish trend as it is broken below the daily 200 SMA and also price structure. It has not come back to retest this structure break, and also likely the daily 250 SMAs. That area is currently at 1.380, and in a rejection from there, we'll probably see a move lower towards initially the weekly pivot 1.371, and after that maybe something like the weekly S1 at 1.36508 with an initial target and a new low at some stage, maybe not this week but next week, somewhere in the vicinity of 1.347. Looking at the EURUSD, we have previously used this as an example, and we mentioned that we are expecting a pullback to retest the structure, and currently this is exactly what we are seeing. Our pullback is currently slightly above previous diagonal support, which should now turn into resistance. And if we can look at the chart, we can see that we have our 50 SMA and 20 volume weighted SMA both coinciding at this 1.181 level. So that is a very possible area of strong resistance, and from there price could be rejected and sent lower towards these levels that you see on screen, with an initial target somewhere in the vicinity of 1.1606, where we will find some support from that diagonal channel. Let's conclude by looking at the US dollar to South African rand. The US dollar to South African rand has, in the last couple of months, made what seems to be a very confident bottom with this inverted head and shoulders pattern. It has now started climbing what appears to be a very well-defined bullish channel. Currently looking for some support from the lower end of that channel, and that is also the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement, and also that daily 200 SMA. So a lot of confluence in this area. So we are looking for some rejection from this area and price to move higher, initially at least back to the weekly pivot at about 14.93, and from there maybe to the weekly R1 at, and also the 23.6 retracement level at about 15.10. That concludes our price analysis for this week. We sincerely hope you will be able to make the best of the opportunities presented to you this week. Remember to set your alerts on the levels we mentioned and have your trading plans ready for when they are triggered. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, trade smart and trade successful.